I know many of you in this room, and I'm delighted that you are here. And I wanted to tell you that I have had the distinct privilege of being the acting Chief Executive Officer for about 3 years here at Great Minds in STEM. But now I wanted to inform you that we have found an individual who is incredibly, supremely qualified to be the Chief Executive Officer, not acting, but full-blown Chief Executive Officer for Great Minds in STEM. So he is going to take the reins and lead the operations, lead the execution of all of our programs, including next year's conference. I will remain as chairman of the board and work more with the board members and long-term strategy and things like that. So you'll continue to see me. But with that, I want you to welcome Dr. Norman Fortenberry as our new CEO. Give him a round of applause. And I ask, introduce yourselves if you haven't met him. And all I ask is give him your support the way that you have supported me and Great Minds in STEM in the past. So with that, let me ask Norman to come up.
Well, thank you for the warm introduction. I appreciate that. And looking forward to my time as Chief Executive Officer of Great Minds in STEM. I want to welcome you all to the senior executive session entitled Turning the Tide, Defending Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Access. We have a distinguished set of panelists to discuss this critical and timely topic. I urge you to review their full bios in the flyer. It has full bios, short but full. But for timeliness, I will simply introduce them by name and organization, and I have them listed in alphabetical by last name, and that's not the way they're listed here. So maybe I'll try to read from a distance. On the left end, which is easier for you in the audience, my left, your right, I guess that's stage right, Miguel Alemany, who's the Interim Chief Executive Officer of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. Dr. Scott Walston, Vice President and Chief Engineer, Enterprise Technology at the Boeing Company. Jeremy Gauthier, who is Director of the Coast Guard Investigative Service, United States Coast Guard. Maria Lehman, who's President of the American Society of Civil Engineers, and Dr. Keith Moo Young, who is Vice Provost and Dean of Undergraduate Education at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Today's topic is one of extreme importance to the nation as it struggles with the legacy of systemic racism and with a critical shortage of science, engineering, technology, math, and medical professionals. The Supreme Court's decision in June outlawing affirmative action with regard to race in college admissions has already had wide-ranging effects. Approximately 26 states now have anti-diversity, equity, inclusion legislation that's either been made into law or is in process. Many colleges and universities are taking the view that they have to reconsider affirmative action with regard to any protected population, including women and persons with disabilities. So the effects go well beyond underrepresented racial and ethnic minorities. Moreover, Edward Bloom, the conservative activist who has been fighting affirmative action for decades under a variety of organizational names, has broadened his efforts to include the explicit exemption that Chief Justice Roberts carved out for the military service academies, as well as efforts by private entities. Nonetheless, the current administration and federal agencies, such as the National Science Foundation and National Institutes of Health, have remained committed to addressing underrepresentation in STEM fields. However, the landscape looks much different in an increasing number of states where broad, fuzzy legislation has many questioning what they can and cannot do. That sets the context for today's panel, where we seek to understand what is being done and what can be done in a fraught social and political environment to ensure full participation in the STEM workforce by all parts of our national population. Because the alternative is not only an underpowered workforce, but one that doesn't reflect the nation it seeks to serve.